because Al Jazeera carries a negative message when it comes to those particular countries. So they'll be cut off. It doesn't make any money, so they won't advertise. So ultimately, unless Al Jazeera have a really, really big backer, they won't be able to exist. So we have to think about these things when assessing the role of media channels. Government influence or control. Now, I think that it would be extremely naive to say that even the BBC, that's independent, that it falls under no government or official influence. Everyone does. Everyone does. At least to be acceptable, to have a receivership. Sometimes it turns from influence to control. How good or bad is that? And then context, I'm going to finish inshallah. And then the context, and if I want to talk about the context, basically we're talking about the history. How much effort does the media give when covering a particular story to giving the history, the background of that particular story? Also the current and landmark events and the overriding perceptions. What do the people think and how does it deal with that? And then the power dynamics. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to run through this. I have 2 more slides to go. And the constituents of the media message, we talked about the context. The media message, essentially, we're talking about the news to inform. The images, very, very important. Sometimes you don't even need to read the story. You just see the picture. How many of us have often faced when Brother Mashoud also opened with the issue of attacks against Muslims? Most people, by the way, don't actually go into the articles. When you have on the front page of the Sun or the Star or the Daily Telegraph or the Express, a big picture of, I don't know, I mean, in the past it was Abu Hamza, these days I don't know who the new enemy is. That big picture, khalas, that's it, you don't need to read the story. Islam bad, that's it, done. The image tells 1,000 words. And then the discourse, what kind of words are used? When do you use terrorist? When do you use extremist? When do you use radical? Why has radical become so negative when, for instance, when I went into college, a few years ago, 2 decades ago, I was told, you must be radical. That was the message of my tutor, that I'm a student now, I'm a college student, I'm a higher education student, I have to be radical in finding solutions. Don't toe the party line. Don't do what everyone else has done. You have to be radical. But now, being a radical, I mean, try standing outside and saying I'm a radical. All that's it. The discourse, the terms, the phrases, the spin of words, that constitutes a message. And finally, problems in coverage and reception. Now, again, because you have to think of the media and then you have to think of the audience. That's you, I, and such. Little appreciation of historic, geographical, and demographic dimensions. When we talk about Palestine, how many, for instance, you read the survey that was conducted in somewhere in some university in America, that 72% of students, postgraduate students, thought that it was the Palestinians who were occupying Israeli lands and building settlements and kicking out the Israelis, for instance. It may sound funny, but that is not out of the blue. That is not because of no reason whatsoever. Or the people are stupid. In fact, some of them are very, very intelligent indeed. But there is a reason for that, and we have to realize. Cultural versus religious. What is cultural? What is religious? For instance, people marrying off their sons and daughters in a particular way. Is that religious? Or is that cultural? That particular argument. The overlapping identities. When I commit something, is it because I'm an Arab? Or that I hail from Iraq, or is it because I'm a Muslim, because of my religion, or because I'm Asian, or because I'm from Singapore? I mean, all these issues, they get muddled and absent, and all of a sudden it doesn't really matter, but it does. And then translation, how people translate the Holy Quran, or the Hadith, or certain texts or the such. I mean, I'm a translator and interpreter, and I can tell you there are horrendous things out there that pertain to how messages and images and ideas get totally lost and totally distorted when attempting to be translated, and the volume of presupposed knowledge. Sometimes we speak and we assume that there is a basic amount of knowledge, but unfortunately that amount of knowledge is lacking or distorted, and therefore you're building on a very, very crumbling kind of infrastructure, and it doesn't really matter. Positive aspects, I'm going to just list them there because I think that most of us would agree on this. I'm going to leave this presentation with Brother Mashoud, and it will be available, necessary steps. And alhamdulillah, my apologies for taking too much time. Wassalamu alaikum.